Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is D here with High Off Blue Hour, and we're going to take a look at the fast noise, tool in Resolve effects in Davinci Resolve. So, I got just 4 stock images that I think will really kind of accentuate the effect of the fast noise tool. So, they're not videos, they're just pictures, but this should do the trick in terms of driving home the point of what's possible with the fast noise option. So the first one we're going to use, we're going to look at this basically a wetland kind of swamp area. Going to stretch it out so we got at least like about 20 or so seconds of runway to work with. And so, fast noise, where is it located? You're going to go into the toolbox, down to open effects, filters, into resolve effects. But the quick easy way to find it, you go into this search bar and just start to type in fast noise, and once you get to about FAS, you'll see it pop up here. So we're going to grab it and pull it into our timeline, and we're going to drop it onto our clip, and this is what we initially see. But to kind of break this up some so we can actually see through this noise, for lack of a better way, is we're going to go down, we're going to go into the inspector tab and go into the effects area, and fast noise should be highlighted in red. You're going to scroll all the way down to here where it says output composite type, and that says normal. If you change that to add, now the video or image below should kind of be visible now, to at least a little bit more visible. And you got this kind of mist or noise basically that's in the image, and it's not really doing anything. You press play, it's not really moving around or anything, but you can change that by messing with all of these different parameters. But what we're going to do, we're going to focus more specifically on a few presets, about 3 or 4 presets that are within the fast noise area. So what we'll do, click this preset box, and we're going to look at mist. Since we're in this wetland, swampy type image right here, we're going to look at mist. Now this is mist as it in its kind of default state. So we'll press play, and you see, so once you start to see some of the movement, it's very faint. Like you can kind of tell that there's noise and things going on here, and you see a little bit of movement, but it's almost like it's not really there. Like it's there, but it's not. So what you can do with mist, you got this thing here. Really, this is all of this applies really to all of the presets actually. Like things like scale, the impact it has is pretty much across the board. What scale does to the mist effect, it pretty much does to the smoke effect as well. Does the same type of thing to the water surface effect, and so on and so forth. But so if you bring scale, the further down you bring it, kind of, scaling things down, you start to see more. And that may or may not be a desired effect depending on what you want done for your project. But as I kind of scrub through the timeline, you can kind of see how it's a lot more visible, almost like the air has muscles in a way. I know that sounds weird, but if you've ever read a comic book, and the way the muscles and everything with the shadowing that's done in comic book art, this is what it kind of looks like. It kind of looks like the air has some muscles to it, like the air is ripped. But that's just because the effect has been scaled down so far. So then if you scale it back up, things kind of spread out and get a little bit more airy, and you still have some of that movement there. Is obviously you can mess with things like brightness. You turn it up, especially with depending on the situation, you probably will want the mist to be bright. Now some of the background is kind of a little bit bright as well, so making the mist effect bright in this might make things look a little washed out. But you can mess around with the brightness, you can mess around with contrast. Color tint, let's change the color tint to, let's just change it to more of and we're not doing a real kind of project here, so don't worry about it. I know things look like bright and blown out and goofy and things. This is just kind of, we're messing around with the sliders and just seeing what the functionality of things are. But one of the most important things I wanted to point out about this fast noise effect, and we're gonna take a look at it within the preset of smoke. And so before we do that, let's change out the image. But I want to talk about this effect within fast noise called seethe. And so we're going to look at that through, I guess we'll look at the desert area for smoke. I forgot about getting I should have got some sort of barbecue type picture or something, some sort of barbecue backdrop. But all right, so we're going to use this Death Valley image, and then we're going to drag fast noise, drop it onto the Death Valley image. Preset we're going to go to is smoke, and this is it. Very just clear cut. Looks exactly like you would imagine it would look, but let's just press play. This is smoke in its default state, and just pretty, you know, rather traditional looking smoke, slow moving, slow rising. Looks like smoke. Looks how you would imagine just the generic image of smoke to be. And so let's and now all of the things that I kind of talked about regarding scale, all of that still applies with smoke. But what we'll do is let's go down here to this auto animation. I said I wanted to talk about this option right here called seethe. And now position, before I talk about seethe, position, rotation, these type of, this is if you already know how to use transform, you know, just within the edit tab and all that type of stuff, you can figure out what, you know, what's possible with position, the XY axis, and rotation, what that means for the effect, and what moving these parameters around, what that will change about the effect. If you know how to use transform, it's kind of somewhat of the same. A lot of the same principles apply in terms of like rotation and things like that. But we're going to focus down here on seethe down here in auto animation, because this is an option. When you move this up and down, this really affects and alters the look of the movement of the fast noise effect, whichever fast noise preset effect you're using. So when you push seethe up, and then we're gonna press play, and you see what that motion looks like. Now it just kind of looks like it right now you might just see it as just random smoke motion, and technically that's what it is. But let's compare it to what it looks like when you drive the seethe slider down some. We're going to take it down to about there. And now let's press play. And now what's the difference here? Now you see the motion is a lot smoother and slower, but it's also more uniform. Like it's all of the smoke, it seems like one wall of smoke rising within unison. Whereas when you have, let's take seethe back up to where it kind of was, turn it up a little higher, and now you press play, it's a lot more chaotic. You see, like it's faster and more chaotic. All of the smoke is going in every which way, just every direction all at once. And it's also doing it at a much quicker pace. So I don't know the technical definition of seethe. I just have to judge it by what it seems to do when I move it around. And so I think of seethe almost as like a chaos, like a type of chaos measurement or a chaos meter in a way. If you turn seethe up, in my mind, it seems like you're turning the chaos of the movement up. And of course, vice versa, you turn it down, the movement is a lot less chaotic. The movement is a lot slower and a lot less chaotic. You see, it's just a smooth, kind of calm, rising in unison type effect. So that's what seethe is. And the reason I point it out is because you obviously can really alter the mood and just the whole energy of whatever it is that you're trying to do by moving seethe around. And now the velocity, you see velocity X, velocity Y, that gives you a hint at why seethe operates the way it does, because the X and the Y, those are the different axes. So that's going to really affect, we're talking about when you move velocity for these axes, for the X and Y around, you're talking about the speed of which the effect is moving in those particular directions. So that's why, so you can kind of correlate what seethe does by what velocity X and what velocity Y do. So I hope that makes sense though. But just a very quick, and it's a quick way of just adding movement and adding more or less movement to this effect. So I thought it was a really kind of important thing to go over that effect in particular out of all the different effects within fast noise. But let's so of course, so you can imagine the different things you can do with smoke, and it's the same thing as bringing scale down. You see the smoke gets real scaled down, obviously, and press play. The seethe is real low, so it moves slow like that. Take the seethe up, press play, and you got all that kind of chaotic movement. All right, so let's go into another. Actually, we won't change. We'll keep this same picture. Let's take a look at heat haze. We'll go back to water, surface, and river. Let's take a look at heat haze. I'm gonna press play. This is what heat haze just kind of looks like as it is, but doing it this way doesn't really accentuate the effect properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at heat haze within the color tab and adding some nodes. So I'm going to turn fast noise off within here. What we're going to do is we're going to click our color tab. We're going to go into the color tab with this. We're going to right click on this main node and click add node. Go over to add serial. Boom. And then make sure that node is highlighted. And then we're going to go down here to our power windows. We're going to grab the curve tool. And what we'll do is this is going to be very rough, but we're going to clip out an area sort of in the midway point of our image, but mostly ground will be selected, but we want some air too, because we want some of the horizon line to be in there. So some of the air is going to get selected as well, but what we mostly want is to stay in this kind of area here for now. All right, so we got that selected, and now what we do once we've got our selection closed in to where we have our anchor there in the middle, that indicates that our selection is quote unquote closed. And now we can go over here and we're going to take fast noise and we're going to drag it and drop it onto our node. So now the fast noise option has now been applied to our selection here. And you can see it's very rough looking, but we're going to make it look better. So we're going to go over here where it says default. In the preset, we're going to go down to heat haze. We've got that selected. All right, so let's just press play and see what it looks like as it is. We actually got the scale kind of up. I'm going to turn the scale back towards the middle more. Actually, no, let's keep it, yeah, heat haze. All right, let's press play. All right, so you can kind of get a better idea at how this would be effective, because now you get a little bit more of, let's go into the timeline actually to look at it so we can really look at it. All right, so now we're in the timeline, and this is just the same. This is our same two nodes from the color tab, just being shown here in the timeline. We're going to press play. And you see you got that kind of, heat haze that you usually would see. I haven't seen this in a long time, actually, like just this visual effect or whatever. Like, I always would see this in movies. I don't know if I've ever seen this in real life, this sort of heat haze. Maybe I have, but I'm so used to seeing this type of effect in movies. So it's kind of a little nostalgic looking at it right now. This is something you might see in like Tremors, or there was this movie called Breakdown with Kurt Russell back in the day. Like on one of those hot days out in the desert, open road, vultures flying around and things like that, you'll have that heat haze effect going on. So that's a look at heat haze. I didn't use it in the most professional way. I didn't use any like softening of the image or anything like that. Let's go back here into the color tab. So there's things that you might want to do when you do a window like that, where you might want to come into here and mess around with the softness of everything. whether, you know, the inside softness or the outside softness, all that type of stuff. I didn't mess around with a lot of that stuff, but you can if you want. So I just felt it was the heat haze effect in particular, because I feel like it's an effect that works best when you kind of apply it to specific areas of an image and not necessarily to the whole image. At least that's just kind of my opinion on it. When I want to do that, I feel it's better to come into the color tab specifically, add multiple nodes and do that type of thing, as opposed to doing everything out in the edit tab. We're going to delete this, and last we are going to look at the water effects with fast noise. So we're going to bring in this image right here. This is just a picture of basically the surface of a pool, or, you know, looking at the bottom of a pool from the surface, I guess you would say. So once again, what we'll do, drag fast noise in to our timeline, drop it on our clip, go into our preset, and we're going to go down and we'll select water surface. We may or may not look at the river option. This see where it says river, we might look at that, but it's kind of like, if you know, you can get an idea of what river is like by what water surface is like. So let's just press play and take a look at how it is just as is. And you can see what's created, because this almost, because of the type of picture this is, when you add the water surface effect to the picture, it almost looks like a video, because it's a picture, it's a still photo of the surface of water that probably is kind of fluttering a little bit in motion. So then you add the water surface effect to the picture, and it almost comes off like it's a video. Now, not exactly like a video, because there's some alterations that could be done to the movement and different things like that. So let's say you can come down here and mess around with something like the seethe and take seethe down a little bit more. Seethe is something that sometimes you need a really light touch. You don't really need to go too heavy with it. And that's actually the way it is with a lot of editing effects, whether you're talking about video editing or photo editing. Sometimes you got to have a really light touch with stuff, because you just need a little bit of the effect. So let's press play again. You see that's probably too slow. Matter of fact, actually, let me bump it up a little bit and see what it looks like if we go a little bit high with it. All right, so you can kind of get the idea, right? That's the water surface effect. Really effective if you have just a still image of a water surface, because now you pretty much are just injecting animation into the still image by doing this. And we'll real quick, we'll go ahead and take a look at the river effect. Now, I do want to go take the time to mention, you might have noticed, and maybe you didn't notice, but when you pick one of these preset effects, the minute you change something on the slider, the preset is going to go from saying the name of that preset to saying custom. So you see how it says this is the smoke preset now, but the minute I change something, it says custom now, because technically it's no longer that preset, because I changed one of the sliders. So keep that in mind, but you're still generally messing around with that specific preset. So for instance, when I went, water, we're in water surface now. I'm going to move this slider a little bit, and that makes it say custom. So it doesn't say water surface anymore, but I'm still using the water surface preset. It's just kind of like, now it's a customized version of that preset. That's why, so it says custom, but you are still working with whatever preset you originally clicked into, if that makes sense. So let's show river real quick, just real quick, so you can see that it's very similar to water surface. So this is river, and it's it's still very, I don't even know how to describe it in comparison to the water surface effect, and other than that, it's not as smooth, and it's clearly kind of meant to be applied to a different type of image than the water surface effect is meant to be applied to. But you still get the general idea of what it is, in that it's a way to really kind of simulate the movement of water, Let's turn it down maybe a little lower. Maybe a low seethe actually helps this effect more. Yeah, it kind of does. But all right, so that's the video. I'm gonna click out of this again. All of these before I do click out of this. All of these effects, seethe or not seethe, fast noise is the name of the effect that we went over today. Uh, all of the specifics were the presets of this effect. So mist, smoke, water surface, river, heat, haze. Technically, these are all fast noise. These are just presets of the fast noise tool. So we kind of keep ourselves a little organized here. All right, let's get back into the main camera. All right, so that is the video. That is fast noise within Davinci Resolve. I hope this the video seemed like it went a little bit longer than I actually wanted it to go, so we'll figure it out in the edit. But it's a very interesting tool, kind of a simple tool, but you probably can already imagine some of the use case scenarios for this tool. You know, if you want to do some real kind of, matter of fact, let's real quick actually, and I might have to insert this into the edit actually, but like something like the smoke option, you know, you can do something like let's bring in the Death Valley image. Bring in the Death Valley image, drop fast noise onto it, preset, go down to smoke. Because I didn't talk a lot about tint, about color and stuff. I talked a little bit about it, but something like the smoke preset really benefits from something like the color change, because just from a simple color change, you go from smoke to something like this, where now it looks like kind of toxic fumes are in the area. And now you know, you mess around with the seethe a little bit or whatever, and then you press play, and now you go from looking like, you know, you got a smoke situation going on to now maybe you've got something going on where there's, you know, toxic fumes or whatever are starting to leak into a building or an area. Just kind of, it's kind of goofy, but I'm basically saying there's a lot of different, you know, use your creativity. There's a lot of different ways you can turn these effects into, you know, other things other than just what they're labeled as, you know what I mean? So that's something real quick. It's kind of a real quick side note I wanted to make sure to point out. But anyway, so that is the video, you guys. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I will catch you on the next one.